The room froze the moment the black belt pointed at the janitor and smirked. The students in crisp white uniforms turned their heads, their eyes reflecting a mix of curiosity and concern. The janitor, wearing faded blue coveralls and yellow cleaning gloves, stood quietly at the edge of the mats, his mop still dripping. He hadn't stepped forward. He hadn't asked for anything. But suddenly every gaze was on him, as if the entire gym waited for him to shrink, to apologize for simply existing in the wrong place. Instead, he just stood there, exhausted yet steady, carrying a kind of quiet strength no belt could measure. If you believe in kindness, humility, and giving people a second chance, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Your support helps stories like this reach more hearts. Daniel had worked at the Martial Arts Academy for almost 2 years, mostly late nights when the mats were empty and the lights dimmed. As a single father, he needed the job badly. His daughter, Lily, was only 8, still waking up from nightmares about her mother leaving, still clinging to Daniel like he was her entire world. He always was. Cleaning floors, polishing trophies, and emptying bins wasn't glamorous, but it paid their rent, kept Lily fed, and gave him an environment where discipline and respect were supposed to be sacred. Yet that afternoon would test everything he believed about the place. Master Holden, the head instructor, wasn't a bad man at his core, he was just proud, loud, and sometimes too eager to show off in front of advanced students. That day, he was demonstrating sparring techniques, dripping confidence under the glow of the academy lights. When the class ended, he turned, saw Daniel sweeping near the corner, and in a joking tone that carried too far, he asked if the janitor wanted to test his spirit. Students laughed. Daniel forced a tired half-smile, intending to decline politely. But then someone whispered that he was probably scared. Another chuckled that a janitor didn't belong on the mat. And something inside Daniel shifted, not anger, but an old ache, like the sting of being underestimated his whole life. He removed his gloves slowly, placed them on the cart, and walked forward. Master Holden raised his eyebrows in amused surprise, but the moment Daniel stepped barefoot onto the mat, something strange happened, the room went still. He moved with quiet familiarity, his steps balanced, his posture aligned naturally. A few students exchanged glances. Daniel didn't look like a trained fighter, but he didn't move like a complete beginner either. He simply stood there, breathing softly, as if returning to a place he hadn't visited in years. Holden grinned, determined to make the moment a funny anecdote for later. But Daniel wasn't trying to prove anything. He bowed respectfully, a small but unmistakably proper bow. Holden's smile fell a little. Sparring began casually at first, nothing serious, just playful jabs to entertain the room. But Daniel's reactions were sharper than Holden expected. Every time Holden stepped in, Daniel stepped out fluidly, almost instinctively. Not aggressively. Not mockingly. Just effortlessly avoiding the contact like someone who had once known what real danger felt like, and had learned to move quietly through the world ever since. Whispers spread around the gym. The girl in the middle row covered her mouth, eyes widening. The 2 black belts at the back straightened their spines. No one had expected this. As Holden intensified his strikes, Daniel matched the energy, not attacking, only defending, only moving. He wasn't faster. He wasn't stronger. But there was a steadiness to him, an unspoken story in every motion. And after a few exchanges, Holden paused, chest rising with a new form of respect. Daniel remembered another life as he stood there. Before janitorial closets and late-night shifts, he had trained in a small, modest dojo in his youth. Back then, martial arts wasn't about trophies or belts. It was about survival, discipline, and giving a troubled boy a reason to stay off the streets. His instructor had once told him, "Real strength doesn't shout, Daniel. It carries quietly." He lost that world when adulthood hit him with responsibilities too heavy to juggle. But today, just for a moment, he felt the echo of who he once was. Holden, now humbled but curious, asked to continue. This time, the sparring became thoughtful, not a spectacle, but a conversation between movements. Daniel didn't attack until he absolutely had to, and even then, it was light, controlled, respectful. The entire gym watched the janitor with a kind of awe usually saved for heroes. And when the match ended, there was no dramatic finish, no knockout, no embarrassment. Instead, Holden stepped back, breathing hard, and bowed deeply with real sincerity. The students gasped. A black belt bowing first was no small thing. Daniel bowed back, modest and quiet. He turned to leave the mat, his work unfinished, his gloves still waiting on the cart, but he found the room utterly silent. Then, one by one, the students bowed to him. Not because he defeated their master. Not because he showed off. But because he carried himself with humility, grace, and a resilience that spoke louder than any kick or punch. For the first time since he started working there, Daniel felt seen, not as the janitor, not as the invisible man who mopped their sweat after class, but as someone worthy of respect. Holden walked up to him afterward and apologized, not loudly, but sincerely. He told Daniel he had no idea he had trained before. Daniel simply shrugged, saying part of life meant leaving things behind to take care of what mattered most. Holden looked at him differently then, like a man recognizing strength in another man's quiet sacrifices. He offered Daniel free classes for Lily if she ever wanted to learn, and Daniel's breath caught in his chest. Lily had always admired the kids through the glass but never said anything because she knew they couldn't afford lessons. That evening, when Daniel picked her up from school, she asked why he looked happy for the first time in weeks. He smiled softly and told her she could start karate classes if she wanted. Her squeal of excitement filled the car, filling him with a warmth he hadn't felt in a long, long time. In that moment, he realized that sometimes life gives you a chance to reclaim a part of yourself, not for pride, but for the people you love most. If this story touched your heart even a little, please make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Your engagement helps us bring more inspiring real-life stories to the world.